right, guys. So let's just take a moment and sink into the room. You know the drill. Take all of your senses, which have been turned into your stories and all of those feelings, and turn them outwards towards the moment. Let them occupy themselves with something real. It's actually a process of letting go. When you let go of everything, you've attached yourself to what's real. As always, if anybody has anything they'd like discussed, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll make sure that's open. But otherwise, just put yourself through the shift. Of filling this space with your consciousness. We've used this metaphor a million times, but it's the metaphor of giving your attention to something the way the surface of a lake gives its attention to a cloud. It reflects it in its entirety without resistance. But doesn't hang on to it when it passes. Give your attention to this room that you're in the same way. 100% present for it. But without grasping. Ready to let it all go. Just sit with that for a little bit as you arrive. Fully present. Fully engaged. zero grasping. Let yourself slow down. That rush to get to the end, it's just another form of grasping. Have what's here for you. Have what's here. And have it without grasping. In truth, it's the only way to really enjoy it. You can have something, or you can try to hold on to it, but you can't have both. If you're clinging to something, you don't have it. The only way to truly have something is to tend to it with your attention and be willing to let it go when the moment isn't right for it to be present. Again, like a cloud reflecting on a lake as it passes by. The cloud is fully reflected, fully experienced, and fully released. But when you're worried about losing it, when you're trying to cling to it, trying to increase the experience of it, it's like putting ripples on the surface of the lake, and it isn't reflected in the same way. It isn't reflected as it is. The surface of the lake is using the colors of the cloud and pieces of the imagery of the cloud, but the dominant expression is coming from the ripples, the waves. It just becomes a reflection of fear, chaos, coercion, manipulation, but not cloud. Everything in life is like this. The people in your life are like this too. Grasp at them, get too needy, all it does is create an impetus in them to get away from you. Or if they can't, if they need something from you, then it just reflects chaos on the surface of that relationship. Resentments and bad feelings. You do it because you want to experience them, but it has the opposite effect, does it not? I used to have a teacher who used to say you have to let people sit like a bird on the open palm of your hand. They have to be able to fly away. Everything in life is like that. I have jobs that I do that are very stressful, that are under constant challenge and attack. I've had to learn to not care if I lose them. They're attracted to tumultuous things. If I grasp at them, there's no energy left to do them. Everything in life is like this. The reason you feel good at the end of these meditation classes is because you're not grasping. The surface of the lake is clear, and you can feel it. It changes you, and it changes the world around you. I used to teach this class in person, before COVID, in various locations for decades. And, it's been a long time since I've walked out of this class onto a city street or something. But I remember every time you'd walk out, the entire world would be reflecting the stillness of the class back to you. The streets, the sky, the moon. It was unmistakably different than when you first went into the class. As a teacher, my stillness was magnified then by the stillness of the students. And all of that just pours into life. So that there's just that many more clear reflections on the surface of the water. When you hold that space, not cling, but I mean occupy that space around other people, they can see themselves. They become aware of themselves. The contrast between their chaos and your stillness makes their chaos apparent. For some, it means that when you're around, they actually get edgy. All their rough spots come to the surface and they become aware of them. It's the power of stillness. The whole world around you changes without you having to manipulate anything, without you having to reject anyone or anything. It just happens as a reflection of the stillness you're carrying inside of yourself. Those of you who really practice meditation are doing a major service for the world. We may remove ourselves from some people. Because they're not ready to deal with their rough edges. But just you being what you are. Makes changes. Years and years and years of hearing from students when they're practicing that they're noticing the world responds differently to them. It's all a mirror. And when you really come to see that, there is this awesome responsibility that dawns upon you. You realize the world is responding to you. You thought it was pushing itself onto you. but it was responding to you. It's a part of your reflection. Not of every thought you think, because a large part of it is your subconscious. But it's showing you that subconscious. We've talked about this before a little bit. Everything you've ever done is like a symbol that goes deep into you, drops into the waters of your subconscious. You know, if you're rude to people, that's symbolic information that goes into your subconscious, and what that symbol is saying is people are something you should be rude to. And because you're a person, that subconscious bubbles up and reflects on the screen of your life with people being rude to you. You don't have to go far to see it in action. You can look at your own life. I mean, once you get to a certain age, don't you start to see all the things people are doing to you are the things you did to other people in your earlier life? It's a mirror. A mirror of your deepest self. Your stillness is also a symbol. The stillness of your thoughts, the stillness of your body, the rhythm of my speech. The comfortable pauses. A symbol that there's room for that emptiness, there's room for that space. All of that gets dropped into your subconscious, has its effect on the contents, and bubbles back up. As peace shifts in your hormones, the more time you spend there, the deeper you go. It literally starts changing the way the world responds to you. It changes how the birds fly through the sky. It changes what you experience. If I just told you to relax, it wouldn't make it happen. If I just told you to experience patience, it wouldn't make it happen. You need to be shown patience, shown stillness. In a way that just goes right in. What kind of symbols you give your attention to after class determines how long this lasts. The memory of it is yours. You can shift your attention to it any time. That'll strengthen those symbols and bring back that feeling. Or you can just get lost in life again and come back in a week. The subconscious needs to be protected. And it's less about not looking at bad things and more about being aware when you are. Because we could all be looking in the same direction, but we're all going to see something different. One person's horror movie is another person's hero's adventure. But the more you practice, the more you consciously apply yourself, the more you have to acknowledge your responsibility to what's manifesting on the screen of life. It's a major turning point in anyone's spiritual trek. Because from that moment on, even at a personality level, it doesn't make sense to play victim. from that moment on, ideas of fair and unfair just become childish. You take what's in front of you and you just open up in the face of it. You find the still places between all the movement, and you just watch the dance of energy in this moment. Because to do anything else would be to feed the chaos. And as you look at the stillness, that bubbles up out of your subconscious. And the moment starts to change. Anything inconsistent with that change walks away or changes. That's power. Real power comes from flexibility. It's the irony of life. If you want power over others, you're not very powerful. Because you haven't realized it's all a reflection of you. Are there any questions about that before we go back into silence? Okay. I want you to still yourself. I want you to breathe in a way that conveys patience. I want you to notice when the way you're breathing conveys something other than patience. Notice if you start to convey rushed. And I want you to listen for the stillness in the room. Let's infuse the subconscious with those symbols. let your mind leave the room. Find the stillness here. This week, I want you to participate consciously in the feeding of your subconscious mind. I want you to notice what you're looking at. What kind of symbols are you taking in? Through your eyes, through your ears, through your words. Set some time every day to consciously shift into stillness. If you can't make yourself meditate, then go sit in a quiet park somewhere. Find something you can do to drop images of peace, symbols of well-being into that lake of subconscious imagery. And then notice what manifests in your life as you do that. It won't be immediate. The mechanism of life separates the cause from the effect. If it didn't, we'd learn too quickly and there'd be no reason to be here. But consistently change what you're taking in for a period of time every day, and try to remain aware throughout the day. And then I want you just to notice when life starts to change. Right now, you probably have many loops of into the subconscious, out to manifest, into the subconscious, out into the manifest world. You know, maybe a belief that people are rude, and then that bubbles up and people are rude to you, and then that confirms it, and you take it in deeper, and then it bubbles back up again, and you go back and forth like that. But you can break that cycle by just noticing something else. Instead of just taking the same old imagery in. Maybe people aren't rude. Maybe they're just in pain. Maybe people aren't rude. Maybe they're just in need. You want to change the input so that the output can slowly start to change. Ideally, you just let it go and pay attention to the silence between their words while making space for everything they're saying. You bring it into that giant context that you've learned through this class. But if you can't do that, then baby step it. So that you can kind of slowly spiral yourself into a different relationship with that energy. And if you do that, the ultimate realization will dawn upon you and you'll be able to let go of it. Can you do that this week? All right, guys. I'm going to let you get back to your night, and I will be here next Thursday. All right. Thank you.